Matt, how do we know if he's ready to record? Oh,
It's
yeah.
recording now. It
Yeah.
said it was recording already.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's recording on my.
Yep, it is.
It says it is.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay, I'm going to call our meeting of February 9th to order. At this meeting, the commission will hold hearings on notices of intent, requests for determination of applicability. The commission will also be voting on decisions taking up other business. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting online. The commission welcomes participation in the meeting by the applicants and general public. Attending the meeting tonight are 7 Conservation Commission's members: Eric Foley, Margaret Wheeler, Jim Gozzo, Ian Jeffries, Marilyn Frank, Noel Donovan, and Peter Mahler, and the Conservation Resource Planner, Matt Salem, and the Assistant Planner, Sierra Pelletier. This meeting is being recorded by Westford Cable TV. We respectfully ask that everyone mute their computer microphones and phones when they are not used to provide unnecessary noise during the meeting. This is an open meeting, so all panelists who have access to the chat panel, please only use chat for technical issues related to the video conferencing. The commission will proceed by opening the agenda items, having the applicant or the representative present the project, or if previously opened in a public meeting, they will provide a brief summary of the project. The commission and staff will follow questions, and then we open up to the public for questions and comments. At this point, if you wish to participate, you will raise your hand and your microphone will be unmuted for you to participate. Due to the limitations of the platform, attendees that are accessing the meeting via the telephone number will only be able to listen to the proceedings and will not be able to contribute. Please access the video conference via the link on the agenda, even if you do not have a webcam to participate. I will take a roll call. Eric?
Here.
Margaret?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Ann?
Here.
Marilyn?
Here.
Noel?
Here.
And Peter's here. Okay, first agenda item is open forum. Anybody from the commission have anything for open forum? Seeing none. Matt, do you have stuff?
I do, Mr. Chair, thank you. One programming note, the commission's next meeting on February 23rd will start at 7 p.m. and it will be returning to in-person at Town Hall in meeting room 201. So any continuances from this meeting, Mr. Chair, we should make sure to reference with a 7 p.m. start time, with a to the meeting starting at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Second, the select board authorized the allocation of $40,000 from ARPA funds to the East Boston Camps revolving account for the lost rental income in 2020, as Marcus Lewis got out of the lease. The commission authorized Marcus Lewis to get out of the lease. So that should help stabilize that fund a little bit. Also, the engineering department is presenting the 50% design plans for the extension of the Plain Road sidewalk from Nutting Road to the Grassy Pond parking lot to the Pedestrian Safety Committee on February 17th. I think that's at 7 p.m. Via Zoom. The link is on the town's website, but for those playing along at home, it's westfordma.gov/Plain Road, no spaces. And
have you seen that plan?
I was about to say it will be in the commission's February 23rd packet as a discussion item, but it's not the request that was brought to the commission back in January of last year regarding the proposal by the Healthy Westford Committee to put in an accessible trail with it, behind those houses on Grassy Pond. This is a sidewalk along Plain Road.
Okay.
So again, this will be in the commission's packet for next week. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anybody from the audience have anything for open forum? You'll have to raise your hand. Matt, nobody?
Mr. Fun, who has his hand raised, but I also know he's the first person on the agenda, so.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to our 7:35 PM, which is Conservation Restriction 22, request to remove trees at 2 Polar Bear Drive.
Under Chapter 131, Section 40.
Actually, Noel, this is not the public hearing. This is just a request from the, to the commission to the proposed, I'm not sure if I see Mr. Van
Yeah,
Hook
it's
is.
two separate items.
Yeah, so the first is, for the commission to allow the removal of the trees on the conservation restriction encumbering the property at 2 Polar Bear. And then if the commission finds favorable action, then going to the public hearing under the Wetlands Protection Act. Eric, are you able to speak?
I am.
Okay, just briefly kind of explain what you're looking to do.
Okay, hi. Thank you. First, thank you for the commission to let me take some time to talk to you through what we're trying to do. Quite briefly, we live on Polar Bear. So it says here Little Bear, and I can understand that there might be different documentation, but the residence we're talking about is at 2 Polar Bear Drive. And the back of the property, excuse me, we reside on 7 acres of property, which I would say a good 6 acres of it is either conservation land, wetland, or just natural property. There are maps that are provided. I have a fairly documented packet that provides an overall status of our property and what we're trying to do. And the reason we're coming to this request is in the past 2 years, in a period of about, I'd say 18 months, if you look at this diagram, looking from the bottom right is the back of the house, and you could see an easement, the dotted lines, and you see a number of dots, the red and the yellows. Those are the trees we're requesting to have removed, or I believe there's a name topped. I forget the name, the word, Mr. Salem, but there's a stagged or something like that.
Create a couple snags.
Snags, sorry. So around that base, there's a hill that goes down to the easement, and there's the wetlands you can see at the bottom. And what's happened over the period of about 18 months is we had 3 trees fall directly on the property from that area. And if you look at the pictures that are provided in the documentation, we can see that a number of trees that are in the back are all falling towards the property. And the reason that was explained to us, which created some concern, because a number of them have damaged a few things on the property, but fortunately so far nothing on the house and no injury to anyone, is based on a number of reasons. One, the wetlands and how they're pointing towards the trees is making the roots on that side weaker. 2, the fact that they're on a hill, on an incline, means that the roots that are pointing towards the hill are weaker. And 3, the orientation of the sun towards those trees means that all the leaves are oriented towards the property, which means that when there's wind or different weaknesses that occur, the trees will fall towards that direction, towards our property. And we've identified these trees as being high risk. A number of them are already leaning towards the property. We were fortunate to actually have, I believe, the president of the Conservation Foundation, I believe, that was there to actually cut a tree that was over the easement in December. And he was actually seeing that these trees were at risk. And from his perspective was recommending us when he said, hey, reach out to the Conservation Committee. Your case makes a lot of sense. We're really considering 2 things. One is protection of our property. If any of these trees fall, and ones that have fallen so far are quite significant in size, and one of them was just a branch. The branch itself was about 60 feet long, and the others are even bigger. So one is the concern to the house, to the property, and 2 is for the safety of the inhabitants or anybody that would be on our property. That's really all we're looking. We've looked at projects to be able to add some brush, some native plants. We've spoken to Mr. Salem, to Foundation, to look at different alternatives that we can have to recover this. We'd like to add some environment for the native life that is there, particularly birds. I think like a lot of people in Westford, we like the birds. But at the end of the day, this is a security and safety issue. We have planted a number of trees already. A number of firs have been planted, there have been 7. One of them died. We have 4 or 5 other trees that have also been planted. But that said, we'd like to see what else we can do to preserve that environment. That's the high level summary of our project and what we're trying to do. That's it. For the rest, I'll be happy to take any questions to address the situation. From my perspective, the prime concern is security of property for sure, but also of the people that are that live in our house. Myself, my wife, and my children, and any potential guests.
So Matt, first we're doing the CR. So which of these trees are on the CR?
So all of them, I think, are on the boundary or very close to, if Sierra, the finished, I assume the finished backyard is right at the, again, this is an older CR. There wasn't really any monumentation to kind of pick up to see where the line was. I mean, all of them, I feel like they're right at the line.
Okay. So let's just talk about the CR. The commission members have a problem with these trees being cut in relation to the CR before we go to the.
May I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure.
What is meant by CR? What does CR mean?
Okay. There's a conservation restriction on the part.
A restriction. Okay, understood.
Yes.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
so there's 2 things here. So you have to get permission from the conservation restriction holder, which is the town of Westford, to get permission to cut anything on that restriction or do anything on the restriction. And then the second part of this is, since you're within the 100-foot buffer, you got to file well, in this case, an RDD, request for determination. So there's 2 parts to this. So the first part we're just discussing is part of the CR. And
I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
And the RDA, I believe, has been completed and provided.
Yes. So you guys, have you guys got a problem with these coming down as part of the CR? Eric?
I'm okay with cutting them if the tree is going to fall and, hit a structure. If the tree was simply going to fall from the CR into an adjoining property, I don't think we've been cutting trees down for that, but we've been cutting trees down if it looks like they're, going to have an impact on a home if they did fall.
Yeah. So Matt, how tall are these trees? Would they hit at the back of his house if they all?
Yes, I mean, there are some very tall pines. And I do think they would reach. I know he took a couple photos. Thank you, Sierra. That they certainly, I think they would reach if they did come down.
I mean, that's justification for doing it. Saying that, for security purposes, I don't want a tree to fall into my property because it might fall into my yard and, somebody might be there and it might hit them. We haven't allowed trees to be cut down for that. But I mean, if it's going to hit the structure, then yeah, we would allow it.
And understanding your point, when we looked at the different options for what we could do, and every tree that has been highlighted are trees that are leaning towards the house or at risk of hitting the house. These are not trees that.
I think that's fine. We just need to provide the justification for why we're allowing trees to be cut in the CR, and that would be the justification.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay, so why don't we take a vote that will allow this under the CR?
Mr. Chair, Jim
Yep.
has his hand up as well.
Oh, Jim, sorry, Jim, can't see it.
If there are 7 trees that are going to either be trimmed or cut, if they are trimmed and cut, will there be any individual pines left standing in that area? Because oftentimes pines grow in clusters like this, and they sort of provide mutual protection against most winds from each by being next to each other. And if you eliminate all but 1 or 2 trees, then those 1 or 2 are almost certain to come down in a windstorm. So I'm curious, if these 7 are trimmed and cut, will there be loner trees left in that area?
That would be
If-
more vulnerable.
If the question is to me, the homeowner, the answer is yes. The back it's all trees. We had I believe the term is an arborist we were asked to have an arborist to evaluate the situation, and he did see that there's a lot of trees. You can see in the pictures that there's a significant amount of trees that are in the back. His comment was, and I don't know what that reflects for the case, but that would actually provide a lot more sunlight into the forest, allowing more vegetation in the back to grow even more than it is today.
You didn't answer your question, Jim, but I don't see any where he has it marked that a singular pine would be, out by itself.
Yeah, that's
you
what I'm
know,
looking for. I
unprotected.
can't really tell from the pictures. Matt, did you notice any that would be left as loners if these 7 were trimmed or cut?
No, I mean, not in that vicinity. I mean, if you look at the photo to the top left, I mean, you can see pines, some pines which aren't being proposed to be removed. And I mean, as the property owner has indicated, the entire rear of the property, I mean, there's still clumps of pines to the rear. So I don't think it's going to,
Okay, good.
I don't think we're leaving one that ultimately we're going to have to do this again.
That was my concern. Thank you.
I think I understand. Just for my benefit, does it mean that leaving one tree, it leaves it unprotected? Is that what you're looking for? The risk of one
Yes,
tree
sir.
being exposed and lacking
Yes,
protection?
sir. If
Okay,
all but
great.
one or two lone trees are cut and they're just left there to withstand the wind by themselves, they're most likely to be damaged and come down. Whereas
That makes sense.
whereas if
So that
there's
means as a
bunch of-
cluster, they're helping each other out.
Right.
Like, okay, all right, good, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Any other questions on this? So can I have a motion under the CR to allow the cutting of these trees? And we'll talk under the RDA about what he's got to do, to replant. Okay.
Eric seconded it.
Okay. All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
And Peter, yes. Okay, we're going to move on to the following, which is a public hearing for 2 Polar Bear Drive, which is a request for determination. You can read it now, Noel.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Westford Non-Zoning Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 71, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, 7:35 p.m. via remote participation to consider the request for determination of applicability application for Eric Von Hoot for approval of 7 trees with 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands, 2 Polar.
Okay, so let's move on to this. We can decide what we want them to replace the trees with. I had one question though. You're showing 2 stags on the plot plan, but then when I look at the photos, I see 3. So is it just 2 or is it 3?
The stags are the ones that would be kind of left taller, correct?
Yes, correct.
So
The top-
when the arborist, that's a good point. I think the pictures were dated. One of the 2, either the diagram, the pictures was done before or after. When the arborist came, he identified some of the trees. He's the one who suggested that we could stag them. We had a couple of trees that broke down about 5-6 years ago, and we asked to stag them, to top them.
Yeah.
And I asked if we could do the same thing, and he says it depends on the branches. So there's definitely 2 that he believes can be stagged.
Okay.
And I'd have to check the 3rd one. I don't remember exactly why we did that. So he might have been trying to assess which are the ones that we can keep, because we'd like to try to keep something in the back.
Yeah. So So generally, when you cut a tree down, we want you to plant one. So I
Okay,
guess
yep.
according to this, there would be 5 trees. I see 2 stags and on the plot plan.
Right,
Five.
we've already planted, well, we planted 7 firs.
Yeah.
I don't know if that falls into that or not. And what we're trying to do is leave things as natural as we can in the back. And on the side, excuse me, is a little dip. And we were looking at, so I was actually looking for some advice and recommendations as to what we could put there. One, to prevent erosion. We want to make sure that the property doesn't erode, that things don't slide. There's always a risk of that. And what would be a more, what was the term, a native plant, native vegetation we could put there. So not sure what we could do there on top of the trees that we planted, but we're looking at options and a recommendation as to where we could go to assess what to do. We don't want to denude the forest in the back. We'd like to keep it as natural as possible.
So Matt, did you see these fir trees that they had planted?
Yes, so I saw some. They were, I think that they were the result of a previous RDA. I think it came before the commission a couple, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So the back does appear well vegetated. Again, the entire, there is 6 acres of, dense forest that is untouched. So I didn't know if the commission would be amenable to, some shrubs, again, that, or, some native maples that, so we're not putting in pines that ultimately grow to 110 feet again.
Put in a maple, put in an oak, put in something like that, something deciduous.
Well, so Matt, can you write that into the
RDA?
Yeah.
Yep. And Jim has his hand raised again.
Jim?
Yes, the trees that are going to be topped, that generally is not good for the health of the tree. What often happens is they will start to grow several sprouts from that cut top and form a V up, up 20, 30, 40 feet, wherever they're cut. And those are more likely to break and snap at those points, and exposed, and plus cutting them and leaving them exposed allows disease and that kind of stuff to grow on the tree. So
Yeah,
just to let you know,
Pines don't grow a new top.
they can split sometimes and grow out.
No, these are mature trees. They're not going to grow anything from where he's going to cut them.
A lot of them
They're gonna
actually
be
already
stacked.
have split and have 2 kind of two vertical.
They bifurcated.
Thank you. That's
There you go.
Bifurcated,
Good work.
right.
Bifurcated?
yeah, they split.
Goes into-
They split.
All right, well,
So actually, one of the-
okay with either some kind of shorter deciduous trees or some larger shrubs. That'd be fine in that area.
Well, the whole point, wait a minute, the whole point of a stag is so it starts to rot and it becomes a wildlife habitat for all
Right.
kinds of insects, birds, and
A
whatever.
benefit.
That's the whole process, Jim, of
Right.
leaving stags.
But the reason for cutting them is for the safety purposes. And if we're going to be encouraging any kind of breakage to fall down from partially remained trees, that probably, I don't want to have to go through it again. That's all.
Yeah,
And
I
neither
mean,
do we.
the property is certainly, or the structure is certainly beyond, it's probably 20 to, or it's probably 60 feet from these, from the trees. So a 20-foot snag, is
All right.
gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were
Not gonna
debating.
do any damage.
No, we don't think so. And when we looked at it, we weren't sure on the height. The arborist said it'll depend a little bit on how things are trimmed. I think we had like 30 feet in mind, and because of the dip, I can't see any damage coming from those trees falling down unless they grow somehow, which I don't have any experience in this, but we wanted to try to keep some, or replaced by shrub, makes sense, but we don't want to empty the backyard. Right? That is not at all what we want to do. If we can preserve something, that is what we're trying to accomplish. just trying to figure out what's the right way of doing it.
Some shrubs would be good because it would also provide you a little privacy from the trail easement, right?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons, right? Where we want to, well, without being a little cheesy, we want to keep, we have a bunch of bird feeders, we enjoy it. We want to keep something so that the birds can still stay around, because there are branches. There's a lot of shrubs right now. We want that to stay. And that's what we're talking about. I think it was with Mr. Salem to look at what other shrubs we can put so we can encourage that environment. And yes, in there, absolutely, we'd like to keep some of our privacy.
That's fine. So Matt, just come up with some native species that he can plant.
Yep, I'll take a look in the morning.
That's fine.
I think it was a Framingham. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, we'll take the advice. That's we could use that.
Okay. So can I have a motion to have this as a negative determination with I'm sorry, yes, what's the word I'm looking for? With
Additional negative determination.
well, yeah, but there's going to be stuff put in there for conditions. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry. So
An amendment to the RDA?
No. We're going to approve the RDA, but it's got conditions in it. Okay.
Okay,
It's
well, that
just not
works.
a blanket negative. And in there's going to be what Matt's going to put in that you got to do for the plantings.
With stipulations.
Okay, that worked. I'm just curious again, I'm learning a bit here. Negative, I know in medical terms, negative is a good thing. Negative sometimes is.
Similar.
Okay,
Similar.
all right, okay.
Similar.
Of a long
Okay.
time.
So can I have a motion for a negative determination with conditions?
So moved.
Conditional negative.
Second.
Conditional negatives. Thank you. All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
And
Ann?
It looks like she's frozen in her picture.
Okay, Jim
Yes.
and Noel
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, you're all set.
Close the public hearing.
Is that,
Motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Salem, we can,
I'll touch base with you tomorrow.
all right, well, thank you to everyone for this time, and I appreciate your patience to explain also what I didn't quite understand. So hopefully this makes sense for everyone. And we're
Yep, it
definitely
does.
open to any recommendations or advice. And
Okay,
have a
Thank
good
you.
evening and stay safe.
okay.
you have to have a second to close the hearing.
Yeah, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
is Ann back?
I think we lost Ann briefly.
We lost Ann. Okay, and Peter, yes. Great. Okay, we're gonna move on to our 7:40 PM, which is a public hearing for Hogland, 30 Magnolia Drive, 334-1787.
Under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 9th, 2022 at 7:40 PM via remote participation to consider the notice of intent application for Michelle Hoagland for construction of an in-ground pool, stone paver patio, and fence within 100 feet of bordering native vegetated wetlands at 30 Magnolia Drive.
Okay, who's here for the applicant?
Sierra, can you? Okay, you got Matt Stengel. Good, thanks.
Hi, this is Matt Stengel from Land Tech Consultants, representing the applicants and homeowners, Michelle and Michael Hoagland, for the notice of intent application for the swimming pool. Just a little bit of history on the lot. The property is at 30 Magnolia Drive. It's a slightly undersized lot, about 3/4 of an acre. There is an existing 4-bedroom house on the property, which was built in the early 1990s. We had wetland resource areas delineated on the property and the adjacent common land parcel that's to the north and east of 30 Magnolia. Those were flagged by Norse Environmental last September of 2021. The wetlands wrap around from the common land onto the eastern portion of the property, and the buffer areas extend across the backyard, the majority of the backyard, and the majority of the front yard, for that matter. The house is now, it's about 33.5 feet from the wetlands on the northern side of the house. The grades in the back, the existing grades in the backyard slope to the north and east towards the wetlands. The proposed project includes the construction of an in-ground swimming pool and a impervious stone paver patio, and also a fence that will enclose the pool and patio area. The majority of the proposed work is within the wetland buffers. The patio is 2,400 square feet of impervious stone pavers. 2,200 square feet of that is within the buffer areas. All of the proposed work is on artificial surfaces, lawn areas in the backyard. The actual pool structure is outside of the 55 no building wetland buffer, and all of the site work and patio area is outside of the 30-foot no work buffer. We have the fence running pretty closely following the 30-foot wetland buffer on the north and east side, and we are proposing erosion controls down gradient of all of the work, where it's down gradient towards the wetlands, right along that 30-foot no work buffer. As far as mitigation measures, we are proposing a perimeter drain down gradient of the patio to help capture and infiltrate some of the stormwater runoff from the patio. That's about it for the, I'm sorry. There's also a equipment pad that is shown adjacent to the house and garage that will house like the pump and other mechanicals for the pool. That's about it for the proposed alterations. If the commission has any questions or comments that they would want to bring up, happy to answer any questions.
Jim? You're muted.
There, now you can hear me? Sorry, I was
Yeah.
muted. Is this pool going to be a freshwater pool with a backwash filter?
That is a good question. I think the pool, somebody from the pool design company is on the call. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but I think either the homeowners or whoever's here from the pool company could probably answer that question.
Because I'm concerned about backwash, where it's going to go, because with the equipment pad up near the house crammed between the impervious pool decking and the house, I don't know where the runoff is going to go to.
I am Sherry. I come from the pool company. It is designed with a cartridge filter, so there is no wastewater to come from the filter, and it is a saltwater pool, not a freshwater pool.
All right, thank you. And the other question I had is the perimeter drain. It doesn't look like it completely surrounds the downslope side of the impervious patio. Was that sized any particular way? Because it seems like there's going to be an awful lot of runoff, given that this is all a stone patio with no pervious pavers at all.
Yeah, so the it's more as just a BMP for helping to capture some of the runoff. I think it should it would capture like 1 inch of runoff off of the patio, but there is room to there is room to increase the perimeter drain around mostly like the northern end. I know there was concern about having any infiltration closer to the pool at the higher grades, just to keep that water like away from the pool.
Well, I'm concerned about water running down slope directly into the wetlands that are 40, 45 feet away. Can that perimeter drain be extended to wrap around the north and east side so that it captures all the runoff from the patio?
Yes, I do think that it could be extended, and I could discuss that further with the pool and patio designers.
I mean, it wouldn't change the shape of the patio or anything. It would just extend that drain around the edges.
Yes. Yeah, I think that is. I think that we could definitely extend that to capture more runoff.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the commission?
Peter?
Yeah, Eric?
You know, too, I'm assuming the septic is in the front of the house.
There is no septic on the property. It goes to a
Common septic?
a common septic for the subdivision.
Okay, and I'm assuming that line runs out the front or the side of the house somewhere?
Yes, from the front of the house.
Okay,
I'm sorry, that's not shown on the plan. We could revise the plan to show that, just to make that clear.
and my only other question is, you know, why impervious instead of pervious? I mean, here we're looking at putting in a pool complex with a lot of pavers, creating a lot of impervious surface, which creates the runoff. And if we had pervious pavers, I think we'd get more infiltration and, you know, we'd have less concern about the runoff.
Yes, understood. I think the concern from the patio and pool, from like the designer's point of view, was to keep water away from the, how would you say, the outside of the pool, like infiltrating directly next to the pool. But I think that is that I could work with the patio designer to maybe figure
Maybe
out
a
some
combination of
areas.
the two, where you have some impervious,
Yes.
but then pervious. So we could have more pervious area in this project.
Yes, understood. Yeah, and I can definitely discuss that with the homeowners and the designers to figure out any areas where that could be a possibility.
Those are my two comments, Peter.
Okay. Yeah, Noel?
Can we make sure that in the proposed flower beds, all of those plantings are native plantings?
Yes, I know the homeowners had some discussions with Matt Salem, and he had already recommended that, and I think the homeowners are open to using native plants in the flower beds.
Can we add that to the order of conditions, Matt? Thanks.
Certainly.
Any other comments from the commission? Okay, comments from the audience. I think somebody has their hand raised.
Hello?
Yeah, Tom, is this Tom?
Yes. My name's Tom Ellis. I'm on the Board of Trustees for Hitch and Post Greens.
Yes.
I would like there's a comment about the septic line or sewer line that does go to our common wastewater treatment plant. And we need to confirm the location because I'm not sure that it does exit the front of the building, because there's a force main that goes from the field down Magnolia past this house up to the intersection. So I know there was a comment that it does exit the front. I think that does need to be shown on the plans.
Yeah, we're going to require that before we close the public hearing and issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I would just like to if you scroll up on the plan a little bit, along Magnolia Drive, there is a sewer manhole. I'm sorry, down on the plan.
Forced main is there.
Yeah, there's a force main that runs right along the property line on the frontage, but then there is a gravity line from a sewer manhole just below that 50-foot dimension. And I do believe that that is where
Okay.
the septic connects into the system.
So that actually feeds all the way down to the lift station down near the ball field.
Yes, that is.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that's
Okay,
how it's
well, then
working.
if that's where that is, thank you very much.
Okay, so we can go ahead and have Matt work on the order, but you've got to supply where that sewer line is, and you've also got to come up with redoing the plan where you're going to try to put in some pervious pavers.
Okay,
And-
yes,
and
we
it-
can definitely work on that and get that submitted for the next hearing.
Okay,
And Jim, you wanted that drainage modified?
It depends on how much impervious paving there is. But I want the drainage ditch to be able to accumulate whatever runoff there is.
Okay.
okay, so everybody clear?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna continue this to our February 23rd meeting. We're not gonna do times, so.
Starting
Can I
at
have a motion
7
to that
o'clock
effect?
if,
Huh?
starting at
7
7 o'clock. Thank
That's
you.
fine. Everything's at 7 on the continuations. All right, motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
she's back. Good. Jim,
Yes.
Noel.
Yes.
And Peter, yes. Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to our 7:45 PM public hearing, which is for Nonset Creek Living Trust 2 Griffin Road. This is an IDA.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, 7:45 PM via remote participation. Consider the request for determination of applicability application for Maxwell Boucher, trustee, the Nonset Creek Living Trust, for removal of the existing septic tank and installation of a new septic tank and connection pipe from the tank to distribution box within 100 feet of neighboring vegetated wetlands at 200 feet and 200 feet of a perennial stream at 2 Griffin Road.
Okay, welcome. Who's here for the applicant?
This is Jeff Hannaford. I'm here representing the applicant for 2 Griffin Road. You may be familiar with the house. It's an antique farmhouse. It's on the corner of Griffin and Carlisle Road, directly across from the town fields.
The brick house.
And the reason we're here with the filing is they need to replace their septic tank. The septic tank and leaching system is off to the right rear corner of the house within the 100-foot buffer zone. It is beyond the 50-foot setback. The leaching system is working, but the tank needs to be replaced. It will be replaced and upgraded to a 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank per the local Westford Board of Health regulations. In order to protect the resource area, erosion control in the form of silt fence and straw wattles will be installed for the replacement of the tank. And that's all that's really proposed for this work.
Hey, questions from the commission?
Peter?
Eric?
So I'm replacing the tank that's there. What is the tank there? About 1,000-gallon tank, and you're replacing it with a 1,500?
Correct.
Where inside the buffer zone, so they're replacing the tank. Is there a change in the bedrooms, or is this just a tank to bring it in compliance with Title V for the bedrooms that it has?
It's to bring it in compliance for the number of bedrooms that exist.
It's an old house, so,
So it's a repair, Peter, so I'm assuming that it's okay.
yeah, right, exactly.
Yep, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
while the tank is getting moved, marginally closer to the wetlands, it's to meet the setback, 10-foot setback from the local Board of Health regulations as well. Just wanted to get that in the record. And the Health Department has, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, the Board of Health has approved this design, correct?
Yes, they have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So it's like 10 foot from a slab, or is this a special consideration? I see it's 10 feet away from the edge of the existing barn. I'm assuming the existing barn is just like a slab floor.
Yes, correct.
Now, typically is the distance for a slab 20 and was relief granted here? Or is it 10 naturally?
It's 10 naturally.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
all right, we're good. Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience? Anything out there, Matt?
I see that Chris Franklin has his hand raised, but he's on the agenda later, so.
Yeah, I saw it, that's good. Okay, so can I have a motion for a negative RDA?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Eric,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Motion to close the public hearing?
Move.
All in favor? Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, Jeff, you're all set.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You
as
too.
well.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 7:50 PM agenda item, which is a public hearing for KC Building LLC, 59 Hilda Street, 334-1788.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 9th, 2022 at 7:50 PM via remote participation to consider the notice of intent application of Russ Trawick, KC Building LLC, for construction of a new single-family house, in-ground swimming pool, and concrete patio, including removal of vegetation, portions of which are within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 59 Hilder Street.
Okay, who's here for the applicant?
Yes, good evening. Mark Slager from Allen Engineering here on behalf of Russ Trawick and KC Building. We have a proposal for a new single-family home on a vacant piece of land. The lot size is 7.655 acres, so it's a very sizable piece of land. If you scroll down to the bottom left corner of the plan, you'll see an overall plot plan of the site.
Can I ask you one question? Is this where the old house was torn down?
Yeah, actually, the house was next door to the left,
Okay,
but there was a garage closer to where this house was, and there was all kinds of debris and junk and all kinds of stuff all over the site. That all of that's been cleaned up, and there's actually a new foundation on the adjacent lot now too.
okay, so there was no septic on this lot?
No,
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
no, there was a septic on the lot next door, but we couldn't find any records of it.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyway, and also this plan, an A&R plan was just signed by the planning board this past Monday. It's created a new lot line separating the lots. There was an older lot line to the right of where this house is going. So we shifted the lot line way over so we could accommodate a new house in this location. As you can see, there's the majority of the lot has wetland that extends all the way up to Pacific Lane. So again, it's a little over 7.5 acres of land. We're only looking to utilize the front left corner of the lot, which is the southern corner of the lot. We're proposing a new 5-bedroom home, new septic system, and an in-ground pool with a concrete patio. The driveway and the majority of the house is outside the buffer zone. The majority of the patio and the pool is outside the buffer zone. As shown, there's about 1,700 square feet of impervious area in the 100-foot buffer zone. No work is being proposed beyond the 50-foot no disturb, and there's no structures being proposed within the 75-foot setback requirement. The house, as shown, is about 82 feet from the edge of the wetland, and the pool, as shown, is a little over 90 feet from the edge of the wetland. So with that, I'll hand it over to the board and be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions from the board?
None for me, Peter.
Yep, none from you? Okay.
Jim has his hand raised, Mr. Chair.
Jim?
Yes, a couple of questions about runoff and backwash. What type of pool is it, and where will any backwash go?
It's going to be a freshwater pool. There will be a pool filter. And any backwash will be directed into a dry well. It's going to be located outside the buffer zone.
And where is that? I don't see anything.
I didn't actually show that on the plan. Came to me as I watched the last hearing that you guys just saw.
All right, how about runoff from the concrete patio that's impervious?
It's just going to sheet across the lawn area and landscaped area adjacent to the pool. There'll be a landscaping with natural vegetation between the 50-foot no disturb and the edge of the patio.
Okay, that was going to be one of my questions also. What's planned for plantings around the downslope with the pool?
Yeah, I mean, the steeper slope areas are just going to be like unmaintained. We don't have we may come up with a final landscape plan that's more detailed. But right now we're just planning on putting some just natural vegetation in there, low maintenance vegetation down in that area.
And part of the house is within 100 feet also. Where's the runoff from the house going?
Again, that's just going to sheet across the lawn and into the vegetated natural vegetation strip.
Yeah.
I see that there's going to be grading done and the house is going to be up. So I think we really need to see some more formal drainage things as Jim has been asking for too, for this house building. And also it seems like maybe pervious pavers could be used at least some portion of the patio.
That's a possibility. You know, again, we'd like to have a solid concrete patio around the pool area just for protection. We don't want to have any undermining or erosion between the patio blocks and the pool itself. So we can work with the pool manufacturer and the landscape designer on how that might actually play out. You know, as far as the work in the buffer zone, we're showing very little apron around the pool in the buffer zone. So any poor pervious pavers might be on the opposite side outside the buffer zone, but we could certainly take a look at that to help reduce runoff.
Drainage around, because you are building up and there's grading going to be done, so it'll be sloping down more steeply to the wetlands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll take a look at some additional drainage provisions that could be added to the plan to help control that.
Yeah, and Mike, maybe you can just come up with a general, what you're going to do for plantings within the 75 maybe, or, you know, at least, I mean, the edge of the 50 is there, but be nice to have what you're gonna actually put in the ground around the
Okay.
edge. Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
if none of the
Go ahead.
commissioners have anything else, I have a couple comments
yeah.
for the
I understand
applicant.
you. Okay,
Just Mark, question why would it be possible to switch the proposed water service and kind of the edge of the pool so that the water line is going up kind of through that 100 to 75 foot buffer, as opposed to where, that is an area that, could be renaturalized or could be naturalized, wouldn't deem to be maintained. Just something to look at. Secondly, as with its being a pool, on a revised plan, can we have the fence? Per building code needs to be enclosed with a fence. So if we could have that as well,
Okay.
just to see, something just to make sure that whatever gets built is, per plan.
Okay.
That's all the comments I have.
But we got several things. Where's the backwash or dry well? Runoff from the house, runoff from the concrete patio, potential for pervious pavers, what kind of plantings are on that north slope. And I think that was it, right?
Yep.
okay. So any comments from the audience? Robbie Gould.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So I'm at 48 Flag Road, and I'm familiar because I've been here 25 years. I'm familiar with the property that was for sale that now has been adjoined to this property. So I'm familiar also with that wetland, which extends into my property as well, the back of my property. So I know there was attempts going back 20 or more years of trying to make that existing piece of property into something that was buildable, and buildable, and it never worked out. So one of the questions I have is how close, or are you aware that in that wetland that you're fairly close to actually standing water, a pond that's out there, which is to me a fairly dramatic type of wetland, not just seasonal or just a little bit, but there's actually standing water. So is that being understood as well in the plan?
Well, it doesn't matter to us whether it's standing water or not. I mean, we have the edge of the wetlands, and he's maintaining the appropriate buffers according to our bylaw.
Okay. And what's the distance between the brand new Lot 1 house and the Lot 2 septic systems?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm wondering, there's a brand new foundation that's gone in on Lot 1, and I'm asking about this switches to Lot 2. And behind my question is about, I think it was probably 16, 17, 18 years ago, there was a proposal on Cape Rose Way, which is on the upper corner there, the upper north part. And so as a group of homeowners in the area, there was a proposal to put in 4 houses in that lot. And I think it was like 4.5 acres. And it was found to be so wet up there. There are only a few perk sites that went through successfully. And consequently, only 1 house went in that area on Cape Rose Way. And the existing house was retained, the one that's on Flag Road. So there actually was just maintaining that and only allowed 1. So I know that there was a lot of water there, and there was a lot of consideration that was done even just to maintain that. So part of my interest is that, how much mitigation is being done because it is so wet in that area.
Well, whatever happens on Lot 1 is outside of our jurisdiction.
Right.
It's really up to the Board of Health. It's a Board of Health issue.
Yeah. Right.
We just discussed all the potential runoff, trying to minimize or eliminate it. on lot 2.
Yes, yeah, right. Yeah, the only, the reason for me being here is because I'm very familiar with the, what now has become the whole full lot, which is now 7 acres. Before that, it was, I think, 4.5 to 5 acres. And I know the history of it, and I know it's very wet. And I know that area because I've gone out there, and I know the wildlife, and I know the bird life and everything like that. And I know I wouldn't want to be building a pool out behind my house there, because I would think the mosquitoes are going to be horrendous in the summertime. So, I mean, just to be that close to it is horrendous for my neighbors. And we're not even that close, the ones that we have that are my next door neighbors and stuff, we have all the mosquito control. So I think it's people have to recognize what it's like to live that close to a wetland, what the quality of life is.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the audience? Any other raised hands? Yes.
I do not see any, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so can I have a motion to continue this to 7 p.m. on February 23rd?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I have a conflict on the 23rd. Could we make it
Okay.
March 9th?
March 9th, sounds good. We'll give you plenty of time to get the rest of your documents in order.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay.
Second,
All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret? Margaret, you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes,
Noel? Noel?
Yes.
Okay. Peter, yes. Thank you. Okay, Mark, thanks. We'll see you on March 9th.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, we're going to move on to our 8 p.m. agenda item, which is a continuation of a public hearing for Bloom Energy, 1 Robbins Road. This was an RDA. We started this public hearing quite a while ago because we wanted them to go to the planning board and get their final approval before we closed. So who's here for Bloom Energy?
Mr. Chair, if I may update the
Yep.
commission. The Bloom Energy went to the planning board at their meeting on Monday, asking for administrative approval in lieu of site plan review. It was approved. The plan was approved as proposed. No changes were required.
Okay.
So request the commission issue a negative determination of applicability.
Termination. Okay, you guys good with this?
Okay.
Okay, can I have a motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ian,
yes,
Noel.
Yep.
And Peter, yes. Did I get Marilyn? I did, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. So we're gonna move on to our another
We
clock,
close the
8
public
o'clock.
I'm
hearing.
sorry, was the public hearing closed?
No, we gotta close it. You're right. Motion to close the public hearing. Thank you.
Moved.
All in favor,
Second.
Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
yes,
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, we're moving on to 8 o'clock, which issue an enforcement order for Hinkle, 25 Buckboard Drive.
Mr. Chair, if I may update the commission as well. Spoke with the property owner. The draft enforcement order that that was included in your packet included Jim. I know Jim had some comments regarding the existing location of the boulders off-site, and spoke with the property owner. They are working to understand what's being asked of them, why it's being issued, and we can move forward to the filing of preparation of a plan and the filing of a notice of intent.
So we can go approve this or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes, fine. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the, or
So
issue
moved.
the enforcement order?
So moved.
All in
I'll second
favor?
it.
Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, great. So we're moving on to our 8:05 agenda item. Is a continuation of public hearing for Gregory 52 Lakeshore Drive North. This was an IDA. So did everybody from the commission see his
Right.
reply to this from our last meeting?
Yes.
Sierra, can you please unmute Mr. Gregory? He is an attendee.
Did that work?
Yep.
Good.
Okay. I saw our unmute button. I wasn't sure it was mine. So this is a continuation. I came in November with a not so solid plan and was asked to come back again. So I put together more of a plan, more details as far as the steps that I'll take to repair the wall, put the rocks back in, and maintain the area. So here are the steps that I sent. They're up on the screen. And there's an example of one of the walls. I have 4 or 5 walls that go up from the lake to the house. And you can see a little bit of the mortar on the top. You can see how these are fitted together, and there's some mortar in between some of the rocks, but still there's room for the water to come back out for a runoff.
Questions from the commission?
Oh.
Eric, you good with us?
I'm fine with it. It seems like he's going to partially point it, but flow can still get through the wall.
Yeah,
So I'm
right.
good with
Yes.
Good with
It
us?
seems like he heard what we said last time.
I had the flu the last time and I really wasn't thinking straight, but yes, I did hear it.
Okay.
Thank you,
Well,
thank you for
we're-
that.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
glad you recovered.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience on this application? Nothing there. Okay, so this is an IDA, so can I have a motion for a conditional negative?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Yeah.
Ann,
Yes.
and Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, thank you. Good luck with your project.
Thank you, guys and
Okay.
ladies.
Yep. Okay, we're moving on to our next agenda item, which is a continuation of a public hearing and issue order of conditions for Hard Rock Builders LLC, 71 Powers Road, 3341786. Since I am at a butter to this property, I recuse myself. Eric will lead the discussion. Eric, you good?
Moving, but I don't hear him.
Is his sound on?
It's not muted. Eric?
And
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
You're supposed to be leading this.
Say it again.
Peter
Peter
just passed the baton to you for 71 Powers Road.
Oh, okay, fine. I didn't hear him say that. Do we have any other issues here? I thought we were pretty much,
We got the order of conditions drafted.
yeah, I thought this was good to go.
the applicant is in the audience if there are any questions.
There was the trail, right? That was going to get mentioned there, Eric.
Commission members, this is Seth Donahoe with Dillis and Roy. I'd be happy to run through the changes that we made in response to your last meeting.
Great.
Go ahead.
All right, so I heard an affirmative for that. So we last met on January 12th, and you asked me to make a couple revisions to this project. Most notably is that we were to specify native plantings for the screening vegetation at the rear of the property. You'll see there's a long row of proposed trees there, and those are all native plantings now, both red cedar and eastern white pine. And then there was concerns of the need for an erosion barrier behind those plantings during installation. We have shown that along with the seeding with a native seed mix, a conservation wildlife mix between the BVW and the planting area that's presently a field and shrub habitat. And the final thing that we were asked to do was to permanently demarcate the 55-foot buffer on the site. And so we've shown a detail on the plan, which is a post typically used in town with a sign on it. And I saw the draft order of conditions also references the language for that sign. The applicant had no issues with any of the draft conditions associated with the project. So if there's any specific questions, I'd be happy to dive into them. But other than that, I'll leave it for the commission.
Commission happy with the requested changes?
Eric, was there a trail right of way or something on this that we wanted to get written up as an easement or?
Mr. Vice Chair, I think Mr. Muller, as a resident, has his hand raised if we want to go to the audience.
Peter?
Yeah, so I looked at the planning board documents on this project. And so they're doing the easement. Well, it says legal documents are being done through the planning board order of conditions. And the other thing that the planning board has is on this diagram, it just shows the beginning of the trail. The trail actually goes for quite a distance down to the west. And I think it would be nice to, as part of the CONSCOM order of conditions, that it shows the entire length of the trail that has public access since you're referencing it. And that's all. I just brought up the planning board issue because that's where the easement's going to come out of. And so I think Matt needs to make sure that that trail easement, satisfies the CONSCOM.
So you want them to demarcate that trail, to show it on the plan?
Well, they did in the planning board. So if I look at the planning board documents, I can see where they show that trail easement going all the way down to where it intersects with two properties, Robbins Road and the ski area.
So if I may, commission members, I was in attendance at the planning board meeting earlier this week. And one of the items that we have been asked to complete is essentially a lot consolidation plan. The applicant owns two properties. The primary property is 71 Powers Road, and I refer to it as the railroad strip, but that is essentially where the trail easement will eventually be. And out of discussions with the planning board, they have agreed to prepare draft easement language and the lot consolidation plan for review by town council. So there'd be a comprehensive plan of that, and that would show the entire length as part of this process.
That work, Peter?
Sound satisfactory, Peter?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Questions or comments from the commission? Other changes you want to see before we move on to the orders? Seeing none, did commission members have any questions with the orders?
No.
Yes,
I heard a yes.
yeah, it's Margaret. And I'd sent this originally to, as a comment to Matt, is condition 58 talks about putting in language to make sure that owners are aware of the jurisdictional properties and that they may need to file with the town if they want to do certain types of work in those jurisdictional areas. The language refers to purchase and sale and deeds for the property, but this looks like a consolidated property, and I don't know whether that language is sufficient for the purchase and sale and deeds if a dwelling owner is just buying the dwelling, whether the language that we've put would require such language in deeds when somebody's just buying a dwelling and not the entire property.
What are you looking for?
So I think some reference to like each unit instead of just the
Yeah,
property.
or just, yeah, is,
Or the inclusion of each unit?
well, it just deed, purchase and sale or deed prepared for the property or a dwelling unit. You know, is I don't want it tied to just the entire parcel. I think this language needs to be there when somebody's just buying a unit, that they know that there will be restrictions if they want to propose the homeowners do something in the neighborhood of their dwelling.
How would you propose them to do that?
The notice of these requirements shall be included in both the purchase and sale agreements for the units and any deeds prepared for the properties. Something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I think that's good wording. My other question would be, should this condition be in perpetuity so that once we've issued a certificate of compliance, future purchase and sale and future deeds would also inform owners of the presence of these jurisdictional areas? Because I see this as an ongoing need, not something specific to the period of construction.
Margaret, are you saying that the words in perpetuity then make that happen, or do you have to spell it out more?
I believe, and Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the same language that says in some, like in condition 57, which says that the condition will, that this requirement for the language will be allowed to continue as a condition in perpetuity and noted in the certificate of compliance.
Yeah, I can certainly wordsmith that into some functional English for a.
That works for me. Okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
The applicant.
Are you willing to let Matt just wordsmith that and approve these as amended?
I am, yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
The applicant willing to agree to that?
Sorry for the delay, I was on mute. I do not have any objections. I cannot speak directly for the applicant. If the commission can move on, I will seek his opinion and I'll let you know in a moment.
Margaret, were those the end of your comments?
Yes, that was the only condition where I had
Other
comments.
Questions or comments from the commission in regards to these orders?
No.
Questions from the audience in regards to the orders? I mean,
I'm not seeing any
the
hands raised.
applicants
but
have any
we-
other comments in regards to how we want to amend these orders?
I do not.
Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the order of conditions as amended for 71 Powers Road?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor? Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Eric? Yes,
And Jim, yes.
and Jim, yes. Seeing nothing further, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor? Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Eric, yes. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 8:15, which is the continuation of a public hearing for Franklin, 31 Bridge Street. I believe Chris is out there.
Mr. Chair, if I could just, I just saw we got a chat comment from, sorry, the box isn't just so it's in the record. Susan Thomas, Margaret, you are reading my mind. Thank you. Informed landowners, buyers are more likely to be compliant or at least less resistant if found out of compliance. Sorry, Mr. Franklin.
Chris,
We lost him.
we lost Chris.
I had to promote him to panelist because he's using an older version of Zoom, so I could not allow him to talk without promoting him, which I just did. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if he
Chris, can you hear us?
got disconnected.
He's listed as a panelist and
I'm not even seeing a microphone option, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
He's got his video turned off and I don't see anything about it.
yeah, microphone. I don't.
Yeah, the microphone icon's completely gone, so I don't know what happened
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I can't tell either.
Well, let's, you want to go on to the 8:35?
And we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Okay, let's move on to 8:35, appointment of Flowers to Empower to utilize the day field.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
hi.
Hi. Sorry, all of a sudden my phone went dead.
Oh, it's Chris.
Oh.
Okay.
How you doing?
Chris is back.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna hold off on Flowers to Empower. We're going back to Chris.
All right. Sorry about that. Just
That's okay. Yeah.
all right. So, what would you like from me today? Matt's got the DEP stuff. So, has that?
Okay.
And unfortunately my computer just now that I'm a panelist, I can't see anything. So that if you know, I don't know. Computers are not my forte. What would you like to know?
So Matt, have you gone over this as far as he's got snow storage labeled? He's got some
Yeah,
other stuff
snow
labeled?
storage labeled. Again, it was more get any comments from the commission. Again, I wasn't as involved when this originally was the original public
Carol
hearing
was
was
the one
for.
that, and Carol and I went through this back 2 years ago.
Yep. And in terms of the, we have a DEP file number. I'm looking to get the commission's comments as to what was proposed, if, we would want anything changed or, I would be willing to take the commission's direction and prepare a draft order of conditions, preferably for the March 9th meeting, so I can have
We
some
can
time
get
to
together on it.
Yeah, draft it, and again, also, provide it to the applicant for their review. Make sure that we're encompassing everything that is being proposed, and also, I'll have to do some digging back into the prior meetings from 2020 to make sure that all the what's been discussed by the commission is, or was previously discussed by the commission, is included in findings, orders of findings, and the special conditions.
Okay, so does the commission member want to take some time and go through this and get comments back to Matt? Is that going to work for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Will that work?
Okay.
And then we'll let Matt decide when he has the order ready. He'll add it to the. Well, we need to continue it. What do you think, Matt? A month out?
Yeah, March 9th would be preferred. I'm off next week and would
Okay.
be difficult for me to work.
Okay, so Chris, we'll continue this to March 9th meeting, and hopefully we'll.
All right.
have a final order.
Well, I'll probably have to sit with Matt between now and then anyways. He's probably going to want, so we should be good. And I'm off next week. I'm out next week also. I'm not
Okay.
around, so
Okay, good.
it'll work well for both of us.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
So can I have a motion to continue this to our March 9th meeting at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Eric,
yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter, yes. Okay, thanks, Chris. We'll see you in a month.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to our 8:35, which is an appointment with Flowers to Empower to utilize the day field. So
Good evening.
Who's here?
Elizabeth Almeida.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Good evening, everyone. So we are requesting use of a small section in the front of the day field. It's less than 1/10 of an acre. There is a map here that will show you the layout. This project is being initiated by myself and Karen Wazinski and Christine Berthold and Marco Laylor. And the idea is to give young women in town between the ages of 10 and 18 the opportunity to learn about entrepreneurship by growing and selling flowers. And then we'll use the proceeds from these efforts to do leadership training with them. Hopefully it will be in the form of outdoor adventure. And we'd like to start, our hope is to raise enough funds over the summer to be able to have an outing at East Boston camps in the fall, perhaps utilizing the resources there of the high ropes course and archery. So we'd have some funds to be able to do that with the girls. We do have the support of Westford Rotary. They've offered to be our financial agent for this project. So we don't have to go through all the hoops of setting up our own 501c3, but we can operate under their organization as we get this started. So the map that I have here, you can see we're proposing to use the section right next to the parking lot. We figured this would give us good visibility from the road. We would like to sell the flowers on site here at the day field, and then we might also have a few other stands around town, maybe at the end of people's driveways on some busy streets. So that's generally our idea. I checked in with Fala and she told me she didn't plant that section last year and does not intend to plant it this year. And then I think Margaret did some looking and realized that that section is not in her lease. So we seem to be okay that way. And I've also checked in with the beekeepers and reviewed our plans with them. They had some helpful suggestions of plants they would like to see us to be sure to include for the health of the bees, but we really don't expect any problems. Of course, we'll be using organic practices as well. I wouldn't want to use any insecticides or pesticides with the girls who will be helping us grow the flowers. So it'll be safe for the bees close by as well. So can I answer any questions?
Questions from the commission? Jim?
I got two. I think first one, the 4 adults that are listed as point of contacts or mentors for the girls, will you be the permanently working this? Because the girls are going to rotate out, every graduating class is going to disappear. So
Right. So I have a 10-year-old. So I expect to be involved in this.
For 8 more
Hopefully this will
years.
be, this will be a success, and I'm hoping that she's excited about it. And 3 of the 4 of us have 10-year-olds, and Christine's daughter is a little bit older. So
Okay.
I think, for the next few years, I predict stability amongst
Great.
us leaders.
And then the other thing, I'd seen that there was some correspondence with town council. What exactly did they review?
Matt, do you wanna comment on that?
I can speak to that one. I wanted to just get town council's opinion, whereas it was,
Good idea.
it's figured it was just a prudent practice. And so thanks, Sierra, for scrolling up to it. He mentions, gotta move people, a license agreement between Flowers to Empower and the town, including the lessee Fala in it as well, just so that everybody's aware and everybody's on board. In the lease agreement, I think we probably can do it for 5 years, as that was previously. I think Fala's lease is for 5 years, and so. If that's, or let me see, license agreement. So however long the license agreement, I was going to, pending favorable review by the commission for this, of the initial proposal, I was going to, start working with town council to prepare a license agreement that, encompasses, what were the expectations, the use of the land, And Jim, I appreciate your kind of thoughts about, the contacts, and it's nice to hear Elizabeth as well. The group should be fairly stable for many years. And, just, I think in the license agreement also it would be prudent to, make sure that every year there is, updated contact information, in the event there starts to become turnover or new people join to as the leadership. So Commissioner, I appreciate your thoughts, and I can certainly take this to town council and start drafting a license agreement.
I like that as keeping it clean personally. I also think that in addition to, I'd like a report at the end of the year, as to their success and, what they see going forward. It would be nice to have an update so we could have it at the same time.
Thank you, Marilyn. And I would plan to have the young women participating in this project prepare that update and share that update with you. That's the type of exercise we want them to do.
Yeah, and with maybe 1 or 2 slides of their beautiful flowers.
Right.
Okay, any other comments from the commission?
Sounds fine.
I have one.
Yep.
I had a question. There was an email correspondence here from Greg to Eric, and it mentioned that the town owned land for the charitable purposes, as long as the opportunities are not distributed in a discriminatory way. I was wondering if only having this be young women and not allowing young men to be involved, if that was going to be a problem.
I can check with town council on that.
Yeah, it's up to town council.
I will certainly get his opinion and, share that with the commission for the next, share it with Elizabeth and the group as well. But include that in the commission's packet, again, with the draft license agreement pending favorable.
Definitely
review
want
by
to keep
him.
town council involved because of, it is something of value. It's town property and all that. I'd like to do this. It'd be great. Just want to make sure we do it right.
Yeah, I like the idea too of having.
I also wanted to mention that I think this is a great thing to do for young women. I think encouraging them to be entrepreneurs is amazing. But the cut flower industry has an incredible carbon footprint. So I don't necessarily support a cut flower industry being put on our on our town property, just because of the environmental impact that it has. I think I don't think that's a good message to send to these young women, that industry is something to be involved with. So maybe using that property to grow vegetables or fruits and selling them instead of a cut flower industry might be a better idea.
Yeah, Noel, you're referring to the cut flower industry. I mean, the cut flower industry is a huge commercial operation. This isn't. This is just local people growing flowers.
Right, but the whole idea of the cut flower, I mean, the whole idea of it is just something that I don't support. So.
Well, I mean, a lot of us, have flower gardens in our backyard. We cut the flowers and bring them in our house. I mean, it's not like this is a real commercial operation. It's a local, learning experience for young girls. So I think there's a big difference.
I think our carbon footprint will be much less than the carbon footprint of the cut flower industry. And I do appreciate what you're saying about that industry, Noel. I know when you look at where all the roses that are going to be coming into the state for Valentine's Day, when you trace the carbon footprint of those roses, it's an incredibly unsustainable industry. But when we're growing flowers here in season, using, it'll all be hand tools, so we won't be using any gas-powered tools to grow these. We're not shipping them places. We're eliminating many of the problems that go into the cut flower industry. We're not going to be using chemicals or pesticides to grow these flowers. So I think people enjoy cut flowers for the beauty. I think they're healthy for us to enjoy the beauty of nature. And so if we're going to enjoy cut flowers, best to have them grown locally versus having them shipped in from other countries.
Correct, yeah. Okay, are there any other comments from the audience?
Mr. Chair, I did see a couple comments, or one comment from, once again, Susan Thomas. Mr. Chair, through you. Elizabeth, how are the young women choosing the plants they will grow?
So there are several resources that give recommendations of appropriate plants for a cut flower business. And it has to do with plants that have long enough stems to make bouquets, plants that will have a good shelf life, so the buyer can enjoy them for a week or more. And then, so we're using input from some industry publications. And then we've also received some advice from the apiary and the beekeepers right there. They had some suggestions of perennial flowers that would be helpful for the bees. So we have one young woman who's looking at that list right now and trying to match up the list of flowers that the beekeepers would like to see us plant with flowers that would be suitable for cut flower production. So our hope is that we can make choices that are good for everyone on the property.
I unmuted if that's okay, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Elizabeth. I was trying to get at sort of the regenerative agriculture principles that they might learn about and employ on the property, and whether or not, you might grow sunflowers, but leave some standing for local wildlife and seeds, or if they might, I know the community garden has cover cropping, are those sorts of things the things the girls will be investigating?
We haven't gotten that far into it, Sue.
Okay, fair enough.
So we can certainly do that. And I will say one of the discussions that the parents who are working to get this off the ground, one of the discussions we had was the reality that by September 1st, the girls may be getting quite busy with school again. And it's quite likely that the last few weeks of flowers may be abandoned, but in a good way, that they will be feeding the bees and the birds, and leaving those as food for the wildlife is certainly advantageous. So we recognize that these students might be busy once school comes around, and that's why we're focusing on it as a summer project and trying to balance this, with expectations as we head into the fall, being realistic with their schedules.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? So all we're going to do tonight is I'm going to ask for a motion to forward this on to town council to write a license agreement.
So
And
moved.
we can
I
then
move we
review that.
support it.
Okay.
So Jim made a motion to support it, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, Marilyn, did you second it?
I will. I had said a different motion, but that's perfectly fine.
Well, it's going to town council. I mean, we're going to have to
No,
approve the
that's
final
fine.
license.
That's fine. That's fine.
Subject to their approval.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Noel?
Abstain.
Okay, and
And
Yes.
okay, and Peter, yes. Okay, Elizabeth, we'll get
Thank you
back to
very
you when
much.
we have agreement.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay.
Take care, Elizabeth. Have a good evening.
Good night.
good night.
Okay, we're moving on to our discussion items, which is conservation land at Sycamore and Cypress. Matt, what have you got to report?
I know at the last meeting, we set out a timeline. The following Friday, there was a pre-construction meeting at 22 Griffin Road, and I found some very large granite blocks that I don't think will ever move. And when the existing house, it's a part of a retaining wall for the existing house. When the house is demolished, the developers are putting them off to the side, and I will be getting those in transport. Not me personally, they're kind of heavy, but I will, with working with Highway, get them placed on the property. Jim, I understand. I want to make sure these will never move. The boulders from Highway, I was dubious about the size, so these will be permanent demarcations that, you know, the property is there. So I just wanted to update the commission. I know we set out the timeline last week or last meeting.
Okay.
That's all.
Yep. Okay. Request for certificate of compliance, 38 Lakeshore Drive North, Castor, 334-1753.
Yes, this was a tear down rebuild of on the north side of Nabnasset. The project was done. The as-built was provided. Plantings were listed on them. I have no other outstanding issues with the special conditions. I recommend the commission issue the certificate of compliance for 334-1753.
The motion?
Second,
All in favor, Eric,
yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Matt?
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
I don't get to vote.
I know you. Noel?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody, and me, yes. Okay, next one is 71 Powers Road, Hard Rock Builders LLC, 334-1709. I have to recuse myself from voting on this.
So just briefly, again, this was the property that the commission voted to issue the order of conditions for tonight. In reviewing the project file, the construction entrance was put in, the erosion controls were installed. There was some attempt to manage the invasive species on site. I don't think there was any follow-up to it. I would recommend the commission issue this as order of conditions as invalid and close it out for the property.
Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Marilyn?
I said
Jim?
so. Get a
All those
second?
in favor? Jim,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Eric, and Peter, you abstained? Yeah. So we should be all set.
Okay.
I think that's it. Is there
That's
anything
it.
else? Yeah. Nothing, no minutes this round.
Nope, there'll be a double dose next week.
Okay.
Next
He's
meeting,
pretty
sorry.
good, Tim. He's pretty
So
good.
so everybody will be up to town hall except for Eric.
Except me.
Eric.
Okay.
I
Tomorrow.
won't be.
You won't be,
Okay.
okay, no. All right, good. Okay, we're good to adjourn?
I think so. I appreciate everybody and see everybody
Night,
tomorrow.
everyone.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
take care.
Motion to adjourn.
Good night.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Peter. Okay, you guys.
Good
Okay,
night,
stay
everybody.
Night.
Night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.